Most people think a hit song begins and ends with an artist, but behind every hit record was a team of people who made it possible. Let's break down who those people are. Any of these rules that I'm mentioning in this video, just remember that technically one person could do all of these things, but it's important for you to understand what each role entails. Number one, the producer, otherwise known as the beat maker. Now, second to the artist, the producer is the next most important person in the line of the recording process and the creative process. This person makes the instrumental, and the instrumental is the music, the instrument, all the layers that you hear before any words have been put onto a song. What makes a song complete is the marrying of the instrumental along with the lyrics, which are usually written by the artist and or the songwriter. When it comes to writing a song, you can either approach it by writing the lyrics first and then having a producer make the beat, or you can have a beat from the producer and have the songwriter or the artist write to that beat. So it's really either or, depending on how you like to create and what is most comfortable for you. So number two is going to be the songwriter. Now again, sometimes the artist and the songwriter and the producer can all be the same person, but it's important to understand the different roles. A songwriter, it's just like the word says, the person who is writing the song, the person who is writing the lyrics. Both the songwriter and the producer will be considered composers on a record. The producer is responsible for the musical elements, and the songwriter is responsible for the lyrical elements of a song. Number three, and possibly 4 and 5, is going to be the engineer, also known as the audio engineer. But within engineering, there are the 3 subsets. So there's the recording engineer, the mixing engineer, and the mastering engineer. Again, the lines can be blurred, and these 3 roles can all be under one person, or the engineer can be the artist, the songwriter, the producer, and the engineer. So all of these things are possible. But when it comes to what an audio engineer does, the recording engineer is the person who is recording in the studio with you. They are sitting behind the boards and they are pressing record. They are hitting the buttons, and they are typically putting different effects on your voice to get this rough mix as close to an official thing as possible. The recording engineer is making sure that you get a high quality sound recording so that when it gets sent off to mixing, it can be polished and ready for distribution. The mixing engineer comes in after the recording has been completely finished. So the artist was in the studio recording, you did everything you wanted to on the record, you finished the song, you did all the ad-libs, you did all the harmonies you wanted to, you made skits, whatever you wanted to add to the song, it is on there. Now you send it to the mixing engineer to level everything out and to polish the song to make sure you can hear all of the elements cleanly, to make sure that your voice is clean and crisp and it stands out from the beat or it works within the beat, and you make sure that the instruments are not clashing with the vocals and the sounds of individual instruments are not clashing with each other. So basically, think of the mixing process and the mixing engineer as leveling everything out and finding the space and the pockets for all of the individual sounds and layers that were recorded onto that song. And then finally, there is the mastering engineer. This is the final step to the engineering process where the song has been recorded, it's been mixed, and now it has that final polish to bring it up to distribution standard. So this person is going to make sure that they polish the sound even more and make it acceptable and to the standard of a Spotify, an Apple Music, a YouTube, a radio, something that's worthy to be put into video games and movies and commercials. The mastering engineer is the person who is going to make sure that happens, as well as putting in any metadata that's going to be important in identifying this sound recording when it's going across all of these different platforms. Identifying the sound recording is important because that's how you're going to be tracking your streams and your royalties. So this is an extremely important part of the finishing touches on a song. You recorded it, you got it mixed, you got it mastered, and now it's ready to be distributed. Now, I actually should have put this next role before the engineer, but this next role is the vocal producer. Again, lines can be blurred, and I'll be saying that throughout this entire video. The vocal producer can be the songwriter and the artist and the engineer and the producer. But the vocal producer's job is to make sure that the artist is performing at their very best. Whether that is coaching the artist through different vocal techniques they can use to get the sounds that they want out of them, or they are coaching the artist through conveying certain emotions through the way they are delivering the words. So there is a difference in how can we make sure you are hitting these notes and making it interesting. And then there's also how can I help you so that your audience believes what you're singing about, your audience believes what you're rapping about. A vocal producer is the one who is going to be responsible for pulling out the very best possible performance they can get out of you so that your record is connectable. So it is enough emotion so that an audience, a listener, will gravitate towards it. Next up, there is the role of the manager. Now, a manager can come in many different shapes and sizes and roles and capacities, but overall, this manager is going to be involved in more of the day-to-day with the artist. This is the person who's going to be like the right-hand man of the artist, getting different opportunities for the artist, getting them on different shows. They might set up interviews, they might set up music video shoots, photo shoots. The manager a lot of times may have been the person who booked the studio session. They may have even paid for the studio session. And a lot of times the managers will be the ones investing in the artist to make sure the photo shoots and the video shoots and the tours happen. So the manager is a very important role. It is a very all-encompassing kind of role where this person, whoever the manager is, they really do take on a hefty chunk of what the artist is doing. That's why oftentimes when an artist is signed to a manager, because of the time that it takes to break an artist and because of the investment, both time and money that it takes to break an artist, you'll often see managers getting anywhere from 15 to 20% of an artist's royalty. That is, any money that's coming in for that artist, 15 to 20% is typically given to the manager. And lastly, a role that's not really talked about as often on social media, at least from the content that I've seen, it's the role of an executive producer. And I'm gonna go ahead and lump this with the role of an A&R as well, because again, lines can be very blurred, but it's important to understand what all of these roles entail. So an executive producer, not like a vocal producer and not like the regular producer, an executive producer is the person who is overseeing the entire project, making sure that all of the songs are recorded on a schedule, allocating budgets, making sure the artist branding looks good, making sure that rollouts are being thought of, and how are we going to market and present this to the masses. An A&R often does these things as well. With the exception of the budget, A&Rs don't typically have any control or leeway when it comes to those kinds of things, but when it comes to the artist development and how the artist is presented and even the sound of what the artist is giving, an A&R is an important person to ensure the quality of the records and to ensure that it makes sense, the type of things that are being recorded and the type of personality that's being portrayed through the music. All of these roles are super important when it comes to the creative process. It's often something that artists and just creatives in general don't want to think of. Artists, we tend to only want to think about the creative side of things, you know, the songwriting, the beat making, recording in the studio. We often don't want to think about what happens after we leave the studio and how we actually get an opportunity to become a big name artist. But all the other players that I mentioned, they are supposed to be there to help bring out the very best performance in you and to help get you to the next level and to put you in front of as many eyes and ears as they possibly can. So, especially if you are a newer artist, make sure you are understanding all of the roles of the people who are involved in your industry, because these are the people that you're going to be working side by side with, and these are the people that can make or break your success. Try to find them sooner than later. It can be difficult and it can be time consuming. It can be costly for some of these roles to be included in your camp. But these are the players that you want on your team. Try to find them as soon as you can and cherish your team and build with them and maintain that connection so that you have a greater likelihood of becoming a big success within music. Thank you for tuning in to LexChat. If this helped you, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. In the comment section, let me know about any topics you want me to chat about. But my name is LexC. Until next time, peace.
Ladies, if you're rocking with a label, make sure that it's paid for. They pay for labels. They don't wanna rock it if it ain't those. Ladies gotta clock it. landline. This ain't your cookie, silly player, this is mine. Can't let you claim it if you don't give it no time.